completely eviscerated her. He tore her apart. Not gonna say that it wasn't warranted, because she was attacking him and she was saying some unkind things, and then him retaliated. You can't tell somebody how to retaliate when you poke at them, right? Everybody, welcome back to the Collect Collective. I'm so happy that you decided to click on this video, because today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite films this year and in a long time, especially since Sylvie's Love. I'm going to be reviewing as quickly as I can. Please bear with me. Malcom and Marie. It was a 2 hour or almost 2 hours. I believe it was an hour 45 minutes long film, and there is just so much to unpack, and I don't believe I'm going to be able to unpack everything, so I'm going to be speaking about all the things that stood out to me. Alright, now one, I know that this film was highly anticipated because a lot of people seem to be concerned about Zendaya's sexual portrayal, especially with John David Washington, who is much older than her, or relatively older. And you know, because of Disney's attachment to Zendaya, a lot of people haven't really seen her in such an adult light, which is strange because she was in that series, I don't remember the name, but I'll share it with you. I'll find it because I haven't watched the series, and that seemed to have changed up her image a whole lot, especially because she was nominated, I don't know if she won, for an award for her performance in that film. So I'm not sure why people are still shocked, and she can't be a kid forever, right? So I know that it was highly anticipated. I, on the other hand, hadn't seen any trailers attached to the film, and having seen it on Netflix today because I knew it was going to be released, I thought to myself, should I watch a trailer? And then I said, you know what? No, I want the mystery. I want something to be revealed, and I want to be surprised. And boy, was I surprised. Because 3 things. 1, I've never wanted to see 2 people just make up already so much in my life. 2, Marie has to be a Virgo. And 3, at some point in the film, I found myself just yelling, enough guys, what more do you want? What more can you say? Are you guys really looking to end this relationship or what? Because they were obliterating each other, and I could feel every single one of their words, each syllable just ripped through me. And the reason why I could relate so much, if you have been in a relationship where you have been vulnerable, you've been exposed, you've shared your secrets, you've shared your baggage, then Malcom and Marie is gonna mean a lot to you, especially if you've had some very big fights where you and your partner have exchanged some intense words, some very cruel and unkind things, and it really became a mirror where you could see the things you've gone through, the things you've said with your significant other, right? And you're like, yo, have we really been this cruel to each other? And I was just at a point where I'm saying, enough, we hurt each other, enough, let's be done with it. So I want to retell the movie. I did write down a whole lot of notes because there were things that I don't want to not pinpoint, things that I think were very important to point out and important to the film, authentic things. If you've seen it already, then you don't get that authentic joke, right? So the scene begins, and the end credits and the contributions are what we see. We see where everybody is getting their credit. I'm not sure if those were credits belonging to Malcolm's film, Imani, or if they were the credits belonging to Malcom and Marie. But that's how the film starts out. It starts out in black and white, and it starts out with end credits. My mind and how it works started to think that, okay, well, is this a metaphor for the end of something good? Is it the end of something bad and a new beginning? What could it mean? Why would they start out the movie like this? It's not very traditional. So I started to read into it a whole lot, and then black and white, and I'm like, why black and white? It's not that old. They're quite young. It's a modern day film because they had modern day jokes in it, like Karen and Twitter. And so my mind just started to go at a very fast pace. Then we see where they arrive in the house. We see where Marie is clearly upset about something. She's in her feelings, and Malcom is just going on and on about how his film went and how everyone was reviewing it with positive words. And Malcom is writing about this white film critic lady who is trying to make his film quite political, and he seems annoyed about that, because to him, why can't it just be a film? Why can't it just be about life? Why you have to attach blackness to it? Why you have to attach race to it? Why is everything black political? And then it dawned on me that it's the same thing that's done with hair. You wear your hair out in an afro and you're so strong and you're fierce, and yes, black woman. Why is it a political thing? I'm just wearing my hair the way it grows out of my head. And that seemed to annoy him. Like, you know, it's something that he feels passionately about. And Marie, on the other hand, she's very abrupt, she's short with him, and so it's clear that she's in her feelings about something. It's clear that something is upsetting her. And as you can imagine, they're coming out from a night of celebration, so it must be in relation to the night that they had. And Malcolm is just going on in this old little world. He's ranting, and Marie seems like pragmatic. She's matter-of-factly. She's like, yeah, okay. And you recognize that she's not okay, because we've all been there before, where we kind of want our partner to know what's wrong, but at the same time we're not telling them what's wrong, and we just like give them the cold shoulder. But it's not really a cold shoulder. I'm talking to you, but I'm not talking to you. You know, it's a little weird woman thing, I think, and I hope that's not sexist. So yeah, so right off the bat, you feel the tension, especially because Zendaya is just doing so well. She is an excellent actress, and I had no idea, but she was just doing so well. I did not see that Disney Kid star on screen. I just saw someone who was trying to uncover a lot of feelings and a lot of emotions in her head and try to keep up a strong front. And then you start to wonder, why isn't Malcolm picking up that something is wrong with Marie, right? And eventually he does pick it up. He's like, you know, Marie, something's wrong. I can tell, I can read you. And she's like, believe me, Malcolm, you can't read me. And I should have known, because we were in for the reads of our lives, because the way they read each other in and out in this film, nothing was left. They uncovered everything. I feel like at this point, the relationship, at the end of all of this, the relationship should have gotten stronger. You know what I mean? It was that intense. So the film moves on, and Malcolm puts it out to Maria. You know, Marie said, okay, I'll tell you what it was. You forgot to thank me. You thanked 1,000,001 people, and you never thanked me, when it was I who inspired your whole story. I inspired your whole film. You practically stole my life. You stole my story, and you made this incredible film. And out of everybody you thanked, I wasn't one of them. And so upon this revelation, you start to think and say, yo, that really messed up, because she seems to be an integral part of his life, especially because as soon as they entered the house, he was ranting on and on about what people were saying and what they were not saying and what the reviews are going to say. So it seemed like Marie was his person. And so at the point when she said, you stole my story, or at the point where she says, you took my story, you took my life, you took my trauma, you took my drama, and you made it into this beautiful thing and gave no credit to me. I immediately thought about Vicky Cristina, Barcelona, starring, I think it's is it Javier Bardem? Yes, Javier Bardem, Scarlett Johansson, this other lady, and of course the remarkable Penelope Cruz, whose character name was actually Maria Elena. So in a nutshell, Vicky Cristina, Barcelona, at some point in that film, Scarlett Johansson's character and Javier Bardem's character, who is an artist, by the way, Javier Bardem, Scarlett Johansson, she's a writer. They're, you know, they're together, they're having sex, they're making out, they're just having a good time, and she's living at his place. And so later on we get to meet his unstable ex-wife, who is Penelope Cruz, and she's staying with him at the house for some time, and she's also a painter. And then we get this revelation that his whole way of seeing, his whole way of depicting art and observing art and portraying art is by way of her. He's inspired by her, or better yet, she's inspired him, and his whole style was as a result of her influence on his life. And that's what this moment of observation for Marie reminded me of. Vicky Cristina Speaking of Barcelona, it's an excellent movie, by the way. And to be honest, it made me a little sad because a lot of times we really don't give people the credit they deserve for the impact and the influence that they've had on our life and on our creativity, our whole growth and development. We fail to realize that it's not just us, but there are other people who have influenced us to be better or maybe not better. And so when it is a positive thing, we fail to give them the true appreciation that they deserve. And that's Marie's whole beef, right? Or so we thought. We thought that her beef was really about her feeling used, her feeling like she's not valued, feeling like an object. You are using my pain and my trauma and all these bad stuff from my life for your art, and I couldn't even get so much as a thank you. Who am I really with? Who am I to you? And what am I to you? And I feel like this was maybe 20 minutes or less in the film, and it already felt so heavy. I started to wonder, where can they go from here? And they really didn't disappoint. The film progresses to a point where Malcolm apologizes, says he's sorry. He tries to make up, you know, a whole bunch of adult stuff, him kissing on her ass. I was wondering if he was gonna eat it right then and there. And then we get a little bit of dialogue, and all of a sudden a familiar sound, and I'm like, I know that piece, I know that instrumental. And it was the instrumental with the piano and the sax, that jazz piece, the in that scene where Darius is running down the train to catch Nia to tell her not to go to New York. And I just felt all tingly inside. Even though I thought of Love Jones, I kind of like the fact that they paired the instrumental with a scene that showed Marie and Malcolm sort of making up, because we had many makeup moments in this film, and I started to think that, okay, this is it, where are they going to take this film, because they fought a bit and now they're making up. What's going to happen next? They have some moments of laughter, and we truly get to see the chemistry that they have, and it seems that they have a sort of bond where Malcolm can just share anything with her, and Marie is open, she's honest, she's pragmatic, she tells him like it is, and she tells him to keep his head firm on his body, don't let it all go to your head, and they just have some little funny moments, and I loved it. It was really tender, and you could truly see that Marie supports him. And then in a subtle way you could tell that the energy changed when Marie did this white girl impression, right? And Malcolm said to her, you know, you really can act. Imagine if there were a film that truly represented you. And Marie says to him, wait, write it down. And Marie says to him, unfortunately Malcolm, no one can write me except you. I didn't pick up anything at that point, and it was later on when the film ended, I'm like, yo, that was way deeper than I thought it was. If you picked it up, then kudos to you, but that was a very telling line. So that scene ends and Malcolm leaves, and then he can't find Marie, and we get a bit of drama, right? He's calling Marie, 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 and long story short, she was outside taking up his quite impulsive, and her justification was that she's living in the moment. She's never had a backyard before, and she's enjoying the novelty a little longer. Okay, fine, Marie, do you. And so just when we think that they have made up, Marie haven't really gotten everything off her chest. She goes into the fact that he could never get jealous. Even if he sees some random guy on her arm, he would never ask, you know, who's that, da 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 da. I would get the sense that she's unhappy. She considers his lack of jealousy indifference. And you know, I really should have known that the fact that they started out with the gloves on so early in the film, like the first 15-20 minutes in the film, I really should have known that it's only gonna go downhill, or depending on your perspective, uphill from here, because that's when Malcolm really lost his shit, and that's when he started to feel the need to defend himself and throw back punches to Marie, because she really wasn't holding back, right? She was being honest and she was being raw and real with him, but she was also considerably harsh with her words. And me thinking that she was considerably harsh with her words clearly proved how little I knew about Malcolm. And this is when they took the opportunity to reveal to me just how low he can go. He started to hit below the belt. He said some nasty, dirty things. You know, when somebody has bore their soul to you, and you've seen all their flaws, you've seen all their demons, and then just take all of that and shove it in your face and shove it down your throat and then some. That was what Malcolm did to Marie. He completely eviscerated her. He tore her apart. not gonna say that it wasn't warranted, because she was attacking him and she was saying some unkind things, and then him retaliated. You can't tell somebody how to retaliate when you poke at them, right? She made some allegations. What did she say? That the real reason that he didn't thank her, and I was buying it for a minute, the real reason he didn't thank her for her contribution to his film is because of the guilt he stole from her, and he feels guilty about it, and so thanking her would be admitting that she really was the main influence on his film and on his art. And I was like, you know, maybe she have a point. And I really do think that she has a point. I think he has a point. They made several points, and I don't think they're mutually exclusive. Two things can exist at the same time. He can love her and he can mean her well, but he can also use her for inspiration, use her dirt and use all the grime in our life for inspiration, and love her simultaneously. I think that can be possible. So she obliterates him by calling him privileged and mediocre. She even called him more privileged than the white woman who feels like that she's doing him some favor by writing this review. And he went in, and it just reminded me of the time when she was like, Malcolm, you could never read me, and he's like, I can read you, and he read her. I even got introduced to this new word when call her solipsistic. Oh you go. The word is solipsistic, and I'm gonna go ahead and Google the word and show you what it means. I likened it to narcissism. So what he was accusing her of is that every single thing that happens in his life, happens around her, she personalizes it and makes it about her when it hasn't the slightest thing to do with her. So he was calling her a borderline narcissist, right? She took many things personally and credited herself for that, solipsistic, and followed it up with a presumption that she's trying to justify her existence. I'm telling you, they were brutal. At some point my husband was saying, you know, college, shut up, because I was like, oh no, he didn't, and he's not seen the film yet, but I'm gonna rewatch it with him tonight. But with each blow, and let me tell you, I don't ever want to get into an argument with Malcolm, because him gone done you. At first he was really trying to hold back, because you could see where he had things on his chest to say as well, but if he really went into it and matched her energy, it wasn't going to end well. And that's what we were witnessing at this moment. Even Marie said it. She said, let's not start, because if we start, there's no way this is going to end with a productive discussion, because you don't know how to, I suppose, you know, move on and let things be. And so we were in this moment now, we were in the trenches with them, and we were now seeing the ugliest part of them and the ugliest parts of their relationship. So we move on, and the character slander continues, and Malcolm finally comes clean and lets her know that, Marie, you need to chill, because all the way you think was because of your influence. It was not. It was one, influenced by me and something I experienced with my father in the ICU, influenced by several of my exes. This one ex where did go through this one ex where did overdose, I'ma find her in the bathroom, this one ex where did go through, you know, a bunch of stuff. Right, so Malcolm goes down the list of exes and troubled women from his past who really impacted the film and the intensity that it brought. And you know, I know he was trying to make a point to Marie, like, get over yourself, it's really not about you, boo. But what that revealed to me is that maybe Malcolm is attracted to people's hurt and their pain, because it feeds into his art. Their darkness is his driving force. So maybe Marie's story specifically, and Marie's story alone, was not the main influence on his film, and she was not the only one to impact his film, but everyone else and all the other women, which is quite strange considering the relaxed background that he came from, right? He looks to these women's story for inspiration. I find that very strange, and I was starting to look at him in, of course, a different light, because at this point both of them characters still being revealed to us, so I really don't know anything about them, and they're sharing that with us. But yeah, I didn't really like how that made me feel. And even though later on Malcolm expresses to Marie, I love you, I want you to let me just love you and accept that. I don't want anything else from you but to love you. Just know that you are loved. And that was revealing some other issues that Marie does have with herself, right? She is addicted to pain and inflicting pain on herself. Not a fair own character flaw, But despite that, it made me feel uncomfortable because people like that, or that Malcolm-like trait really do exist. You think that they're helping you and you think that they want to see you better, but they really just like to observe the drama that surrounds you and the chaos that is in your life, perhaps because it makes them feel better about their own chaos. And maybe I'm going through shit, but it's not as shitty as your shit. You get what I mean? And we want to stay away from people like that. They attempt to make up and Marie goes to the side of him. They share a cigarette. Malcolm gets up. He realizes that the review was put out, and I'm telling you, that might have been one of the most brilliant scenes I've ever seen in a movie. Mind you, I'm no film specialist or critic, and I don't have all the right words, but that moment when him could have find him wallet, him could have find him phone, and then later on when him read the critique what the white woman gave on him film in the LA Times, and that entire monologue was brilliant. Like, you have to see this movie, even if that's the only scene that you're watching for. It was how do I put it into words? I don't know, but I hope people won't minimize his skill and his acting chops and his passion and his brilliance to the fact, say, Denzel Washington is his dad. And I will be honest with you, throughout the whole film while watching, throughout the whole film while watching him, I did not remember that this man was the son of Denzel Washington. Yes, there were moments where you could hear Denzel, but that could be anybody who would sound maybe like a Denzel. But there was not really any hint of Denzel Washington. And yes, perhaps his father being Denzel means that it's much easier for him to run in the right circles, and he can align himself with the best of the best people to get his acting to the most superb level. And that would be a great thing, because as a parent, you do want to set your kids up like that, right? But I am hoping that people will not say, oh, because him father had Denzel, because this was John David's. This wasn't even John David Washington. This was John David. That whole monologue was chef's kiss. Right, so moving on, we get a couple comedic moments out of this bad review situation, and it seems like, okay, maybe they're gonna make up now and we're gonna get the ball rolling. They're gonna make love and we're gonna come back together again as one, realize we love each other, and yes, we said some tough things. And we have that moment briefly, and you know, Malcolm runs to the bathroom and said, just wait till we come back with the pee-pee, just don't move. Positive thoughts, don't move. And this was a moment where I must say, Marie must be a Virgo. I know that Zendaya was born September 1, I think, so she's a Virgo. The man basically say, turn off your mind just for this one moment. And that's the worst thing you could say to an overthinker such as Marie. And forgive me for minimizing her observations, which were quite real and justified, to overthinking, but she truly couldn't turn it off, not even for an intimate moment. And so by the time Malcolm returns, Marie hits him with the meat of the matter. What, the entire night, or better yet morning, because it was like 1 a.m. when they got home, what the entire thing has been about. Marie asks him, why didn't you cast me? And so she asked this question, and you could really feel all the emotions that and the courage that it took for her to finally bring what she's been feeling to light and finally face him with her true concerns. She was being vulnerable again, right? And Malcolm, which I really feel like was him just being a dude, reduced it to jealousy. What's this about? You jealous? You jealous of Taylor? And she's like, no, I'm not jealous, but I really wish you allowed me the opportunity to tell my own story. I can't even tell my own story, and after everything that we've gone through, we practically wrote this together. I was there. I read 1,000,001 scripts and drafts, and we were in the trenches together. And now you got this opportunity for me to play me, because she was really believing that the essence of Imani was about her, was a reflection of her life, drug abuse. And she said, yo, why you took that from me, right? So that scene ends, and we have another scene where they're really discussing the things that were said in the arguments before. And you know, Marie was saying, look here, the The most I can think about, you thought you really did something by telling me all of these women that the film is about. But what you really did is prove to me how gross and disgusting you are, you know, like you've ran through all these women. Ew! And to me, I feel like that played a part in the fact that they're yet to make love after so many close attempts. And men think that it is just them and women's body count. We can turn them off. Oh no, you've been ran through and too many men have ran through you. But it grosses women out too to know that you slept with he, she, and the old lady, and you think that it's supposed to give you some badge of honor. No, it's disgusting. We find it disgusting that you can share your body, your bodily fluids, especially if you didn't use protection, with so many people. We find it disgusting, actually. And yes, I acknowledge the hypocrisy, because Marie has cheated on him. She's admitted to it. Him know she's cheated on him with his friends. So I don't know how to put the two together, really. Yes, he's disgusting, and yes, she's a hypocrite because she's done some disgusting things too. I also found it interesting that the last half hour of the film ended on a similar note as the first half hour of it. Quite intense. So it was gradually building up back again after they've had some moments of laughter and seemingly making up. We were back at it again once and for all. And Marie continues on the path of complete obliteration. And I'm telling you, the things that they've said to each other, one would think that the relationship is supposed to end at this point. Marie tells him that he's a narcissist, and that's the reason why he can never get jealous, because he feel like he was the best that she could ever do. And tonight was the best and the worst of him that she'll ever see, basically telling him that he has no more growing to do if he doesn't change, and his films will never grow. He's just going to continue to be mediocre if he never changes, because he's full of it. And although brutal, I really like the fact that they both stood up for themselves. Yes, somebody's attacking your character, you're gonna defend yourself. But I really loved and admired the fact that they could hold each other accountable in such a truthful, real and raw way. And the only way one could ever do that, and the only way you could even care what the other person has to say, is because you care for them and they care for you, and you're both so vulnerable. You've both been so open. You've both laid it all on the table, and you've left it there for the other person to pick it up and rip it apart. So we come to the end of the film where they've finally gotten some rest. They prepare for bed in silence because there's just so much that was said. They're both exhausted. It's been such a good night and it's been such a bad night, and they finally decided to get some rest, sex free, right? And we are left with the questions of what next? Where do we take it from here? Where do we go from here? And I think it was completely beautiful. It was breathtaking. Everything about it. I don't know if I have one single critique, and that could just be attributed to my lack of understanding of filmmaking. But as a viewer, as a naive one at that, I have zero critiques. It was that good to me. I loved the vulnerability, the touching on the subjects of racism, on drug abuse, on emotional abuse, because we got some very high levels of toxicity, right? We get revelations, we get resentment, we get love, we get passion, we get honesty. There is so much that this film gave us to unpack and to do some introspection on, especially when it comes to our own personal relationships or friendships even. And I loved, maybe some people won't find this to be a good thing, but I kind of love that they gave us the impression that all of this was simply because one person did not feel appreciated and they didn't feel valued. And in a sense, yes, because the film really closes out with Marie saying, I want you to say thank you. And if you think about it, that's what so many women, especially those who stay at home, feel. They just want a heartfelt thank you, even as basic as thank you for getting dressed and looking this good. Thank you for being there for me. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for listening to all my rants and my rambles. Yes, it's about that, but it's about so much more, and that's what makes it beautiful to me. I just have one question to leave you guys with, and in light of all that the film uncovered, Would you have received this film differently? Would it have sent the same message if a dark-skinned black woman was casted for the role of Marie? Is there any other way you would have perceived this film? Would you have seen it as, oh, it's a black movie, it's a black film? Would you have seen it in a much different light? Is that the light that you see it in now, as a black film, a film with two black people? Or do you just see it as a film? And would you have seen it as a film that has two flawed people who love each other and want the best for each other? So please, if you will, leave your comments, leave your thoughts down below. I'd love to read them and I'd love to respond to them. Thank you for watching yet again. Please remember to subscribe, like, and even share this review if you enjoyed it especially.